Now let's build a media storage unit to go underneath our television. Okay, so we've got our TV built up there on the wall. Let's put a little shelf down here to hold some of our components and some of our media. So we can do that just by bringing in a polygon primitive cube to start with. And I'm just going to pull it over into position here a little bit and scale it up so we can see a little bit better what we're doing. And let's have two shelves kind of in the center and then some shelves going off to the side. So I'm going to scale this up, and then we can look in our create node to actually add some of that resolution that we're going to need. Let's look at adding some subdivisions along the height. Can actually, that looks about right. So we're going to have, well, maybe, I think we need one more there. And now let's grab these edges, and we can say select contiguous edge, and I'm just going to drag this up. So this is going to be the actual wood of our top shelf, and then this will be a space, and we extrude that in. And let's grab this one and do something similar, only we're just going to pull it down. Alright, and let's grab these two and say select contiguous edges, and I'm just going to actually scale these together to create that middle shelf. Okay, now we do need some geometry over here for the sides of our shelves, so I'm just going to add that real quickly by inserting edge loop here and here. So now we can actually all just grab these faces and just say extrude, and I'm just going to push those in Z into our shelf as deep as you want. You can see right there where it goes through the back, so you want to make sure you back it off from there. So we've got our two shelves in the center. Let's actually see how thick these are. We might want to actually thin those up a little bit. If we go into our front view, we might actually want those shelves to be slightly thinner, so we can always just grab those vertices. I'm just going to pull those up, and if we want to grab the center section, and you can just scale that, and I'm going to grab the bottom and pull that down a little bit, and it just looks a little bit better. Alright, so now we want some shelves to kind of extend outward from this, from the top, middle, and bottom. So I'm going to grab these faces on this side, as well as these corresponding faces on the other side. You'll be able to do this in one shot here. If we just say extrude and pull straight out in Z, you can see those coming out nicely. Alright, now let's take a look here. I think this stand could be a little bit deeper, so I'm going to just pull this back until it's almost going through the wall there. Okay, now it's nice to have a box like this, but let's add a little bit of interest, and let's just grab the front vertices on the bottom shelf here, and I'm just going to pull them out in X, just to add a little bit of interest. So now we've got one shelf up here, and then a little bit deeper shelf down here at the bottom. Okay, now as we've been doing, it might be a good idea to add some bevel to these edges. So I'm just going to go through and select the edges that I'd like to bevel real quickly. Now, since this is a kind of a cubic object, it's not going to deform. There are no curves really. That's kind of what I look for, trying to figure out if I want to leave it as a polygon or convert it to a sub-D surface. For instance, on the coffee table, it was a polygon, but we needed it to be smooth around the edges, so that was a good candidate to be converted to a sub-D surface. This, however, is supposed to be these sort of planks of wood, kind of flat and straight, so it's sort of a good candidate to keep as a polygon. But as we talked about before, it's still good to add a little bit of that bevel to give a little bit of interest along the edge, a little bit of kick from the lights. So I'm just going to continue to grab these edges, and let's grab the bottom ones too. Just a couple more. Grab these, and let's make sure we've got selected what we would like to have selected. Alright, let's go up to Edit Mesh and just bevel that, and bring this offset down a little bit. Let's go to 0.03 3 and see how that looks. That actually looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now what we want to do, I don't want this to be sitting on the floor like this. I want it to be kind of raised up, and we'll make some legs for it. So I'm just going to pull that up a little bit. Let's delete its history. And now let's make some legs that will actually convert to subd surface so we can get a nice curve in them. So we're going to start bringing in another cube real quick and pull this over. And I'm just going to scale this up in Y so we can see it here. There we go. And move it over. I want it to kind of intersect these shelves. It's kind of the same fashion that the legs of our coffee table kind of intersected the glass top. I want these to kind of go through this wood here. So I'm going to add some, I want it to be kind of curved down and around to a wider base. So I'm going to add some subdivisions along the height that will allow us to do that. So I'm going to grab these points and pull them up here. And I'm going to make these a little bit deeper and move them back. And I'm going to just go down the from top to bottom and move these points. Scale this a little bit. And let's grab the bottom and go ahead and scale it out. I want it to be quite a bit bigger. And let's move it out to the front a little bit. And let's grab the second row and just scale it out a little bit. I want it to be kind of a gradual curve there. Let's grab these and pull them back. And this as well. Now you see that if we left this as a polygon, you would have these kind of sharp edges here. So this is when we want to convert it to a subdivision surface, as we did with some of our other models. I'm going to go ahead and select this bottom face, which we don't need. I'm going to get rid of that. And this top one as well. I'm going to get rid of that. And now I'm just going to use the offset edge loop to go ahead and add some edges real quick here, as we did before. There we go. And one more. Okay. Now if we go ahead and smooth this, delete its history, and I'm going to convert that to subdivision. You can see now we have a nice smooth, and it's a nice contrast between the sharpness of the shelves here. Okay, so we just need to copy that. Control D to duplicate it, and I'm just going to move it over for our right hand leg. Okay. So now I'm just going to go into, let's look and see, let's actually shrink this down just a little bit. Looking at it, it looks a little bit tall, so this is such a low-res object it's going to be very easy to actually just grab these points. Now if you scaled it, the size of your shelves, the height of your shelves and everything would be changed, but we just want to actually move them. So I'm just going to grab these points and move them up a little bit. There we go. And let's move it a little bit closer to the floor, and then we can actually shrink down our legs a little bit. There we go. I don't want the leg to penetrate the table. I want it to kind of butt up against the bottom of it here. There we go. Shrink it up a little bit more. All right, and then I can go in and copy this and move it over into position here. All right, so if we open our outliner, you can see our new geometry we've created. I'm going to select all that. And again, Control G to group that together, and I'm just going to rename it. Let's name it Media Stand. Okay. All right, so now that we've got the media storage built, in the next lesson, we're going to actually start building some of the bowls and various knickknacks that are going to populate the shelves that we've created.